the corner. So today we are going to make a chocolate raspberry cake. Hi, welcome to Cake Mom. I'm Abby, this is Emery, that's Aaliyah, and on this channel I share with you guys some of my favorite tips and techniques as well as recipes to help you with your home baking projects. If you're new or haven't already, please consider subscribing to my channel and hitting the notifications bell so that you can see when I post my next video. So today I wanted to show you a delicious Valentine's Day cake because it's coming up. So we're going to make a chocolate cake that is super rich and super moist, and it's going to be filled with some raspberry jelly that you're going to make yourself and frosted and decorated with chocolate buttercream and raspberry jelly. As always, the recipe will be in the description below, but here's everything you will need. All-purpose flour, some cocoa powder and hot coffee, granulated sugar, softened butter, oil, melted chocolate, eggs, baking soda, baking powder, salt, and vanilla. That's all of it. Start with adding your butter and sugar to the bowl of a stand mixer fitted with the paddle attachment. And you're going to cream this until it is well combined for about 30 seconds. All the way up. So now go ahead and add your oil and cream it on medium-high speed for about 1 minute or until it is light and fluffy. Alright, so go ahead and scrape down the sides of your mixer, and now you're going to add your eggs one at a time, beating in between each addition until they are fully incorporated, and then whip it for about 30 seconds until it is very light and fluffy. So now you want to add your melted chocolate. Make sure this is not super hot. It should be just slightly warm or back to room temperature. Go ahead and add your vanilla as well. So mix that on medium speed just until everything is fully combined. That's good. Don't turn it up any higher. That's right. It's brown. Now go ahead and combine all of your dry ingredients. Ready?
I'm gonna do one.
You've already done a bunch. This one's Aaliyah's job. Alright, we're gonna mix it up. Mix it up. Go ahead and add your dry ingredients and your chocolate coffee mixture alternately into your batter, starting and ending with your dry ingredients. So scrape down the sides of your mixing bowl and go ahead and give it one last good mixing to make sure everything is fully combined. So go ahead and pour your batter into your prepared baking pans. I have 3 6-inch greased, floured, and lined with parchment paper. You can also do this in an 8-inch or a 9-inch. Your cake will be a little bit shorter. It also fills up one 9-by-13-inch pan. So you're going to bake these at 350 degrees for approximately 30 to 35 minutes, or until a toothpick inserted into the center comes out clean. So while your cake is baking, go ahead and make your raspberry puree filling. And like I said, the recipe will be in the description, but here's what you'll need for that. Some frozen raspberries. You can use fresh, they're just more expensive. Salt, cornstarch, water, and sugar. I like to do this to taste because everybody has a different flavor profile. So I add the sugar until I find it is sweet enough. So I'll put an approximate on the recipe for you. So go ahead and add your raspberries, your sugar, and a pinch of salt into a saucepan. And cook it on medium-high until the raspberries are super bubbly and very liquidy and they look completely cooked. So now I like to go ahead and puree my raspberries. You don't have to do this. I like to get the most out of my raspberries, which is why I'm going to use this immersion blender and just puree it until it looks smooth. am not a big fan of crunchy raspberry seeds. If you are, you can skip this step. But I'm gonna strain out the raspberry seeds for my filling, so I'm going to use a fine mesh sieve or strainer. You want it to have pretty fine holes versus something like this where the holes are a little bit bigger. You just want it to have a very fine mesh so that the seeds will get stuck. Now I know you're probably wondering, wouldn't it just be easier to go to the store and buy some raspberry jelly? I have thought that in the past and I tried it and it just does not have the same flavor as making it yourself. But if you love raspberry jelly, you can do it that way too. Now this is a labor of love. Raspberry puree takes a long time to strain out because there are so many seeds. So just be prepared for this to take a while. So I made this for a wedding cake that I did in England, and I wasn't prepared for how long it was gonna take to make that much raspberry puree, and it took a lot of us to actually get the puree strained out because we didn't have a strainer like this one. It was a much better strainer, it just took a lot longer to work with.
It looks like you're cutting the cake properly, isn't it?
We'll let Abi go, so she'll have to use it for the
It's a group project for sure.
So yeah, that was an adventure. But yeah, like I said, it's a labor of love. So anybody who's buying a raspberry cake or that you're making it for them, it means you love them a whole lot, hence Valentine's Day. Okay, so now you want to add this back into your sauce pot and bring it back up to a boil because we're going to thicken it with a slurry, which is cornstarch and cold water. Now this is also thick as you would like it, so it's going to be an approximate, but you want it to be not too runny because you want it to sit in the middle of your cake pretty well. You also don't want it to be too thick because you don't want to be cutting into jello when you eat your cake. So. Oh, and go ahead and taste it at this point to make sure you have the right amount of sugar, the right amount of salt before you add your cornstarch, because this is where you need to taste it. So your raspberry filling is finished, but you want to cool this completely before you put it into your cake. So go ahead and take a piece of plastic wrap and lay it right down onto the surface of your filling, because you don't want it to form any weird film. And now stick this in the fridge to cool completely before you stack your cake. If you like this video so far, go ahead and give me a thumbs up, because now we are going to make some frosting and decorate this cake. So I'm going to make some chocolate buttercream using powdered sugar, softened unsalted butter, cocoa powder, vanilla, and salt. The recipe will be in the description below. Go ahead and put your butter into your stand mixer and make sure it is fitted with the paddle attachment. And I'm going to cream this for about 5 minutes until it is light and fluffy and it has lightened in color and there is a significant increase in volume. While your butter is creaming, go ahead and sift your powdered sugar. This is a very important step because any kind of lumps will mess up your buttercream. Don't forget to go ahead and sift your cocoa powder into your powdered sugar because you don't want any lumps in that either. Now you're going to add this to your creamed butter. I usually start with about half of it, cream it really well, and then add the other half. So now we're going to scrape down the sides and add some salt and vanilla and just cream it until it is light and fluffy and delicious looking. So now I'm going to stack and decorate this chocolate raspberry cake. I have 6 layers of chocolate cake, some chocolate buttercream, some cooled raspberry filling, and I'm going to show you how I stack my cakes. I usually start with a little bit of buttercream on my cake board, just to help the bottom layer stick, because the worst thing is having your cake sliding around while you're trying to work with it. So then just put one of your layers down. Generally this works a lot better if these cakes are either frozen or completely cooled. We didn't have time to do that today, so we're working with it. So just spread a very thin layer of chocolate buttercream over the top of your cake. Now you're going to want to make a border of chocolate buttercream to keep your raspberry filling in the middle of the cake. I generally go for a pretty wide, so otherwise by the time you get to your 6th layer, your raspberry will be gushing out at the bottom. And just don't add too much because we've got 6 layers to do. There will be plenty of raspberry. and do that exact same thing 6 full times until all of your cake is used up. Then we're gonna dirty ice the whole thing. Enjoyed this video. If you did, you might also really like this flourless chocolate cake that I did right here, because it is also a great Valentine's Day cake. Go ahead and give this video a thumbs up, give it a comment, let us know what you thought, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the notifications bell so that you can see when I post my next video. Have a great day.